A question that I didn't send out to people. I was talking to a lady at work, and I wanted to ask this question a couple of years ago to a group of people, but it just never came. It never came around. Uh, does co-parenting work? Miss Plains, uh, is co-parenting, because for me personally, I've never seen that happen. I've never seen co-parenting work. So I don't have like a person or a group of people that could be like, oh, this shit works. I have never seen it happen in my life. I'm almost 30. I have never seen co-parenting work. Does co-parenting work? You older than me, not by much.
I know,
Does
I'm
it work?
beautiful though. Uh, uh, Me personally, I don't have the luxury of
Mm.
co-parenting. I'm a single mom 100% of the time, have been since my son has been in existence. I've learned to cope with that. But I'm like you, D-Ray. I've never seen a co-parenting thing that just flows well. I've never seen it. I know it's some out here. I've just never seen it. Um, but I that's something that I would love to see. That's something that I want to see. I wanted to see. I wanted to experience. But yeah, I'm like you. I never seen it work.
Okay.
I
And
think
you
that
never seen it
like I
work
don't
in
have
both
kids,
Hold
parties?
on,
but
hold on. Go, Bria. Go, Bria.
yeah, I was saying so I don't have kids, but I think that it can work if both people are like over each other. For example, my dad and my well, he had a first wife. So his first wife and they got my oldest brother is just my dad's, and then my mom and dad got married and had the five of us. So when both people are over each other, it can work. But when my brother's mom was still like trying to be on there with my dad, and then he had my mom, like it wouldn't work. But when she got over him and found somebody else, then they could co-parent just fine. So that's just my experience and what I've seen. But you have to be over the other partner to make it work, in my opinion.
Hey, Trish, you had something? Then we're gonna let Leanne go after you.
Well, yeah, just because from my personal experience, I have a son. I have a son that's 11 years old, who'll be 12 next year, next month. And with his father, the day I found out I was pregnant, he wanted me to abort, didn't want to be in the picture. I didn't believe in abortion. I kept, long story short, he didn't want to be in the picture at that point because he didn't want no one to know it was his child. As I became 9 months pregnant, I got a lot of attention from a lot of other men that was like, oh, you don't have a baby daddy. I can step and be a baby daddy. No problem. He's seen it. He heard it. Then all of a sudden he wanted to be a father. As that years have gone over, he stepped in and out, in and out, in and out. I chose not to go ahead and get child support on him. I was called stupid, dumb, all these things, but I am a proud woman and I do not need no man and his money. If he does not want to step up to the plate, I will do it myself. I didn't do the WIC. I didn't do any of that type of stuff. I went there to do it. I was pressured by my parents, and then I said, you know what, I don't need to do it. I'm working, I'll be fine. I went ahead and raised this child, did not get child support. I let him see his child. I let him interact with his child. I let him go ahead and take time with him and everything like that throughout the years. Now, with that being said, now that my son's at a certain age, I've always tried to get him to communicate, talk about things with our child. If he's messing up, we don't need to talk about anything else. We don't need to be friends. We don't need to kumbaya. We just need to talk about this child, his grades, his attitude, what he's doing around the house, things like that. And his comments were always, I don't need to talk to you because I talk to my son. I don't need to ask you how my son's doing because I ask him how he's doing. I don't need to ask how he's doing in school because my son tells me. His son lied to him all the time. And when I would put us three together and tell him, like, hey, did you know that your son was messing up? Did you know your son did this? You know this? And he was like, that's not what you told me. I said, because maybe you shouldn't be asking a 9-year-old. Maybe you shouldn't be asking a 10-year-old. Maybe you should be asking the other parent that lives with him. And you would know. Sometimes it's the pride that they think, oh, well, I don't need the other partner because I have a better relationship with my child. Sometimes that just has to go out the door because it's not about your pride of you having a better relationship with your child than the other person. Sometimes you just need to work with that other person to make sure that child does not manipulate you, because he would deliberately lie to his father. And I would ask him, why would you lie? And he said, because I didn't want to be in trouble in both houses. I didn't want to be in timeout, or I didn't want to do that and get yelled at by both parents. So then he would pick and choose who he would want to know. And that doesn't work if the co-parent is always like, oh, I'm just going to believe whatever you say and talk to you and never talk to the other parent. It doesn't work.
Hey, Leanne, as the mama, right? I know I don't want to say statistically because I ain't reading the statistics, but I'm gonna just say that word because it sound cool. Statistically, women are always in charge of the co-parenting because they have to raise the child most of the times, right? Does that for does that pressure of being the one in charge um put a strain on the ability to co-parent with your partner? Because you gotta do it all and they get to come in for a hot 2 hours, 3 hours. Does that put a strain on that co-parenting like trail?
I don't think I could properly answer that question. I don't co-parent.
Oh, I'm just asking in a person.
I am the parent. I
I
don't.
tried to get you. I tried. Damn.
You try. I don't co-parent. In a way, like I don't even. Let me dial it back a little bit. I do come or ask for support under certain occasions. I'm under the firm agreement that one, you can't co-parent with the narcissist. So that's a whole different thing. Because when people make things about them and not about the children, it just makes it harder. But I do think that in some instances, like I was racking my brain to try to figure out if I knew somebody who successfully co-parents. And so I have a friend that co-parents. I wouldn't necessarily say it's successful. The daddy does get to be the rock star in certain, aspects because you go get to have fun with dad or they do the whole thing for the little weekend and then they feel like they're so accomplished, but you had to put in the work to kind of like get the kids to the dad and then bring them back and all this back and forth. But I do know one person, and that's so sad to say that of all the people of my network of friends and family, that I only know one person that successfully co-parents their son with their child's father. And I think it alludes to like what everybody has said, like what Bria said and what Latrice said too, is that it does take for those two parents to be kind of whole within themselves and have no personal ties to one another that are outside of the kids. Like if you're still trying to figure a relationship out, that's going to make that whole thing a little bit more complicated. And also just like you have to have goals for your children and they have to be shared. Like you can't really be in any type of partnership with somebody where we don't have shared goals, because then you're going to be fighting against each other and butting heads. And so it makes it harder when you're one person who has this goal and the other person has their own personal goals. They're not really working together. So you just have to be able to kind of like work together. But I can't give co-parenting advice. Like I said, I'm the only parent. I am the parent.
Yeah.
If something happens, I'm probably the one that's like, okay, I'm at my wit's end. You need to talk to your child. But I don't think that that's really even parenting. So I parent by myself. My mother is more of my kid's father than their actual father is. And then like I've just surrounded myself with, men and mentors and different things like that to kind of pour into my kids. So I don't know how that works.
I want to pat
So I have
myself on the back for a hot second. Miss Plains, we was co-parenting. What are you talking about? What you talking about?
And you know what? For real, I always have commended you. And I know I probably should have said it to your face. So if not, I just want to take this time to say, I thought you was excellent with my son. I appreciated the time you put in with him, the dedication that you showed. D-Ray, for real, he plays on other platforms, and I compare every coach to you. I be like, D-Ray would have never did that, and D-Ray would have showed up. Then I get really emotional. This boy would come to 5 games a day, and he would show up. And he would show up. That's how my voice get loud. And I be like, and then I be like, who had the best practices? D-Ray didn't play. He did cuss, but that's I appreciate you, and I was truly sad when you left
I
to
was
go to
sad too.
California.
I was sad too.
But I knew it's something that you had to do. But I truly missed you. I missed the work you put in with the children, and not just with my son, with the children in general. And you was all over the place, and you was present. You
I,
were
thank
present.
you. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Snaps to you. I will say, like, of all my kids' coaches, that you kind of have been replaced lately. We found somebody that kind of puts in the work that you put in, but no one,
I'm happy though. I'm happy.
no
that
one has ever put in the work and the dedication. And for all of it was like all the kids, like you were, when you played, when it was like the fathers against the coaches, it was like the fathers against the other fathers. It was definitely like these coaches were primed and prepped to be the stand-in fathers for these children who may not have had those fathers in their life every day. So I do commend you. Like she said, we were there. Our kids didn't have the daddies. You was the daddy at school. You was the daddy coach.
Hey, somebody did it for me. Somebody did it for me. Hey, Jody, you had something to say. Then we go to Kaylin. You had something to say, Jody? That's my other daughter.
Yeah, it's the moment kind of passed now, but I was gonna say what Leanne was saying about like how co-parents like have to have like a shared idea, and then my question was that like can that idea just include just the mother and then the father just like going along with it? Because my parents, they don't really communicate with each other, but then I guess like he goes along with what my mother says and does because she's the one in charge. So I guess that's their like shared dream or whatever for me. So would you consider that a shared dream or no?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
And like, I know your mother. So I would say that it's very much, I think it kind of doubles back to how the beginning, which I did miss the beginning, about how women look for men to be a certain type of masculine. And so when you're not, there are instances, and I've done it before, where you just bowl over that person. Like, you don't have no say no more. Like, we don't share, you're just gonna do what I say. So no, it's important that your mother does have dreams and hopes and aspirations for you. Like, I know your mother, and I know she has great aspirations for you to be the best person that you could be. But we all have to understand that having children and raising children is about balance. There's a reason why there's two people that it takes to make a child. Even though I don't have it's getting better, the relationship I have with my children's father, but it's because I had to make a decision to have a better relationship with him. There are certain things that he lends to his kids that I don't have. And I had to come to realize that I just don't have those gifts. Those are not my gifts. And so when you understand that there is a reason why these two people came together to make this child, and they can both lend those things that they're good at to raise this child, both people just have to make a decision in order to do that. So I would encourage both women to let the men have a voice. Sometimes you don't ever want to hear it because it don't sound good. They sound stupid sometimes. But there are things that they could also lend to make the child a better person. And I see it all the time, where I can see the hole that it leaves when you don't let that happen.
Hey, I appreciate the fact that you don't have the gifts that they have, instead of saying, oh, he a man with a penis and he got a baritone voice. I appreciate you saying that instead of saying that, because that makes me feel okay, because I don't have the maternal skills that you have. I don't think about which medicine Blue need to have if something go bad. I just use my gifts in other ways. I be the cool one. I be this. I be that. So I appreciate you saying using gifts instead of saying masculinity. Kaylin, did you want to add to this, or do you want to jump into the next question I got for you? I'm putting you on the spot because you was 2 seconds late. I'm just throwing you out there.
I'll add a little bit to it. I would speak from experience. I mean, my parents didn't co-parent. Well, it felt like co-parenting. I had both my parents, but it was more so I was glued to my dad more than my mom. And so it was a blended family. So my mom had two boys before my dad, and then when my dad came, he had me and my sister. So we were a blended family in that aspect. And so a lot of times, if it was something I knew my mom was gonna get on me for or anything, I'm going straight to my dad. Like, not saying he didn't get on me or anything. Not in that he
You just
got
knew where you
on
were
me.
gonna get your answer.
Huh?
You just knew where you were gonna get your answer from, the answer you
Yeah,
wanted.
I knew what I was gonna get. I knew where I was gonna get my answer from, but without attitude. Like he would do it in a way would just talk to me. It wasn't soft or anything like that. It was just like it was either a yes or no, but it was like he explained why.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't nah, get out of my face. Like it wasn't like that. It was just yes or no. I explain why I'm saying yes. I'll explain why I'm saying no. So but I can't really speak on the co-parenting thing. But from what I think it was Leanne. I think what you said, or no. Who was it that said it? Anyway, I can't remember. I was listening, but I can't
Yeah, be
remember.
dropping Jews every time she come on here, so it probably was her. She be dropping.
It was more so the fact that, like with my wife, she'll be with our son, our brand new son. He's 4 months now, and so she'll be with him like all day. Like I'm with him half the day, and then I go to work, and then come home, and then I play with him. And I'm playing with him in the morning before I go to work, and then after work. But it's just like she's with him all day because she's doing distance learning from home. She's a teacher, and so when I come and play with him, like the way he like lights up when he sees me, right? And it's just like that, what you had said, coming in for that 2 hour, 3 hours playing with him, and then he's on his way. And sometimes I feel some type of way about that because I'm like, bruh, that's kind of messed up. You've been with your moms all day, and you gonna light up when I come up in here. And I kind of like look at my wife because I'm like, is she gonna feel some type of way about him? So I make sure, like I stay in communication with her about it, like about talking about that, like because postpartum depression and stuff like that. I don't want my wife to have to go through something like that. So it's easier for me to get all those things out on the table and talk about them. That way, it's not like she's dealing with anything behind the scenes while I'm just over here soaking up all the smiles and laughs that little man is giving me when I get to the crib. So those are the types of things like I'm really intentional about when it comes to parenting, making sure that the wife is good, peace of mind, because I don't know how it is with the hormones and stuff like that with the woman going through just having a pregnancy 4 months ago, and still like it could have been 4 months ago, but I know it can last for a minute. And so those are the things I'm constantly like thinking of, and just making sure that it brings me joy when he kind of does shun me off and don't want to like play with me, and he's kind of done with me and he wants to go to his mom. I'm just like, all right, cool, you can be a mama's boy, like that's cool. I don't feel any type of way because I know you have that bond with him that will last forever, that no one will ever be able to take. So